All right, here we go. First lesson of the year. It's going to be Algebra 1 review. This should all be something you're very familiar with, especially coming from geometry, where I know, I've taught so much geometry over the years. I know how much of these kinds of problems you actually do in that class. So just going to go through these. If you don't need to watch these notes exactly, because it just came so easy, not the worst thing in the world, but this is definitely how you're going to get the answers to everything and see how everything's done. So solving for x, we have to isolate. We want to subtract 2x on both sides. 8 minus 2 is 6x, which is equal to 12. And then to isolate the x, divide both sides by 6, and therefore x is equal to 2. Over here for problem number 2, first thing we need to do is simplify this both sides of the equation. So we're going to distribute that negative sign across to get 2 minus a plus 3. Negative and a negative make a positive, equals 17. Combine our like terms. 2 plus 3 is 5. Minus a is equal to 17. Subtract 5 on both sides. And you get negative a is equal to 12, which is not good because a is not by itself. So we're just going to do, we can either divide by negative 1, which cancels, and you get a is equal to negative 12. Or you can just say, okay, whatever I do to one side, if I change this side to a positive, if I change that to a positive, this has to switch signs as well. It's that same thing what you do on one side, you do the other. If you change this sign, you change this. If you change this sign, you change this sign. So a equals negative 12. Number 3 here, same idea. We have to simplify both sides. Let me actually move this up. We have to simplify both sides first. So let's start by distributing. Let's just do the left side. So you have 5 minus 7x, because negative 7 times x is negative 7x, minus 7, so negative 7 times 1, is equal to negative 10x. In fact, let's not even do that yet. Simplify, you got the like terms going on here, 5 and minus 7. So we have negative 7x minus 2. That is completely simplified. So then we can just bring this down since, there's no simplifying to do. And then we can move the x's to one side. So I'm going to add 10x here. And what I actually like to do is I always like to make my x positive. So I know 10 is going to be bigger. Cancels off. Leaves me with 3x minus 2 is equal to 3. Add 2 on both sides. Now it's just a two-step equation. 3x equals 5. Ooh. And then divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to 5/3. But that's not what the question is asking you, really. It actually says, what is the value of 3x minus 1? So just because x is equal to 5/3, that would give us like mostly credit. Probably like 2 out of 3 points maybe. Now we have to plug it in. So 3 times 5/3 minus 1. Well, remember when you do fraction math here, you multiply the top and then divide it by the bottom. So 3 times 5 is 15. Divided by 3 is just 5. Or if you just remember how to do this, those just cancel. Minus 1. So my final answer ends up being 4. Make sure you understand that the final answer has to be 4. Solve for y. This has x and y in it. So now when you have two variables, you're just trying to move everything away from the variable it's asking you to actually solve for, which in this case is the y. So this is our target goal, to get that by itself. So it's like peeling an onion back. We're trying to start from the outside and work our way in towards the y. So a good way to start is move that whole x over, so minus 4x. These are called literal equations back from Algebra 1. We call them literal equations because you write literally what is there when you cannot combine. There's no x in this, that's why. So we have 10 minus 4x. And then getting y by itself still. We're still trying to get towards that y. We can divide both sides by 2, and we divide everything by 2. So y is equal to 5 minus 2x. Okay. Moving on, solving for b in this a equals 1/2 base times height. If you guys don't remember what that is, 1/2 base times height is the area of a triangle. So let me change colors here. Sorry for slight delay there. Peeling this back, I want to start by getting rid of the fraction, I think, first. And this is saying 1 divided by 2. So the opposite of dividing by 2 would be to multiply both sides by 2, because those cancel. So I have 2a is then equal to 1 base times height. We don't need to rewrite the 1, though. Getting b by itself, it's being multiplied to h, so we're just going to divide both sides by h, and we're left with 2a over h is equal to b. Number 6, we're trying to isolate what x, so this is our target. Working our outside in, so we're going to start over here and work our way into where the x is. Subtract 8 on both sides first. 3y minus 8 is equal to ax over b. Okay, still trying to get to the x, so I have to get rid of the b first. The a is attached to the x, so I want to get rid of what's not attached to the x. And if I multiply that by b, this whole thing has to be multiplied by b. So you can write this two different ways. You can either leave it like this, or I'm actually just going to distribute this across. So I'm going to get 3by minus 8b equal to 8 or ax, and then divide everything by a. And in this case, since nothing simplifies in these, you could actually just rewrite this whole thing over a. That cancels. So then I have x is equal to 3by minus 8b all over a. Ta-da! Exciting, yay. By the way, if you're not using colors, I would encourage it because colors are awesome. I love the colors. I think they're great. Number 7, a moving company charges $1,200 for the supplies it needs to pack up a small house and an additional $90 per hour. So I like to, when I read these, it says, okay, it's going to charge me $1,200, so there's $1,200. An additional, so add $90 per hour to do loading. So net plus 90 per hour. We don't know how many hours. We'll call that X. You can even call it H if you want to. And then it says using function notation. Normally this would be like y equals. I'll make this an X. Why not? But we want function notation here. So function notation is f of x. So it'll be f of x equal to 1,200 plus 90x. It's a function of the variable x. And keep in mind, this is our cost. This is our total cost because it wants to know how much is this whole thing going to be. Or that's how much we're paying to move. And then x is our hours. Get rid of this here. Now it says that the cost of moving is $1,740. How many hours did the moving company need to move that small house? Well, cost is $1,740, which is going to go for our function. So we're going to have $1,740 equaling the equation 1,200 plus 90x. Solve for x, subtract, because we're trying to solve for how many hours. It says how many hours. So subtract 1,200 on both sides. Cancels. 90x is equal to 0, 4, 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. And then I can divide both sides by 90 to get x by itself. I have my handy dandy calculator here. And we have x is equal to 6. So the answer is 6 hours to move the house. That's not bad at all for movers. I've moved a lot. That's not bad. All right, cool. We're getting done. We have one more example left, and then that's it. So we have the width of a rectangle is 3 more than half of its length. Well, this is its length. Sorry. And this is its width. And it says the width over, so we're going to be looking at this guy, is 3 more then half of its length. So if you have half of its length, which would be L over 2, the width is going to be 3 more. Kind of working backwards here, right? Half the length plus 3, or 3 more. Then half the length you can write like this. 3 more, more means addition. More means to add. Then half of the length, which is L divided by 2. So however you want to write that. We know in a rectangle you learned last year that opposite sides are congruent. Congruent. That was chapter 7 in our class last year. That was in early February, before the distance learning. The perimeter is 60. So we learned in geometry that perimeters, you add up all 4 sides. You actually should have known that from before. Find the width. So we're actually solving for this. But we first need to figure out what is L and like what are these variables. Well, I know the perimeter if I add up L plus L, L plus L plus 3 plus L over 2. One of these. And then plus 3 plus L over 2 again, which is the other side. That has to equal 60. So we can actually solve for L here. So let's combine some like terms here first. We got L, half of L on half of L. Well, these make 1. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3L. Combine those two, plus 6. And then equals 60 and solve from there. Subtract 6 on both sides. 3L is equal to 54. And when you divide both sides by 3, the length is 18. Still not the answer it wants. Oh, and I guess our initial equation we could write here. We'll make the simplified version. 3L plus 6 equals 60. Okay, find the width. That's my width. So 3 plus 18 over 2, substitute the length for with 18. Half of 18 is 9. And then 3 plus 9 is 12 centimeters for our width. And that's it. That's all you have to do for homework, is just watch the video, fill out the notes. I promise I'm going to always try to keep these videos as short as possible, as hopefully you see here. And as obviously your comfort level, you can move through them as you will. But we don't have time with this distance learning to go over every single tiny detail of the notes in our Zoom meeting. So that's why I'm using this time here. I'm going to go over key examples and stuff in class tomorrow, or when I see you. So that's it. Good luck, and I'll see you in class.